Here I want to show using the citizen model to alter an existing policy and to look at net incomes by households on different levels of income. So I've started up the citizen model. I'll press continue to go beyond the information screen at the beginning. And let's talk through some of the options that appear under alter benefit definitions. So let's double click here. There are four income benefit policies that are in the current version, and Bolsa Familia, the top model here, this is based on Brazil's family stipend policy, which in Portuguese is known as Bolsa Familia, and this is a conditional grant paid to families based on their school attendance and based on their willingness to cooperate with health checkups. Let's go back to the previous menu. Basic income, if you look at the Basic Income Earth Network on the World Wide Web, this defines basic income as a fixed monthly amount for all adults. It's not withdrawn as income rises. The bottom one is a version of basic income which is tapered as income rises. So some basic income supporters would say it doesn't qualify as a basic income if it is income related. Sometimes the term means testing is used. Worker credit, the option in the third position, is exactly like a tapered basic income, except it is only paid to those people who are working 10 hours a week. So this is intended to deal with the criticism of those who say that welfare type schemes encourage dependency, since this version would only be paid to those who are in work and would not be paid to the unemployed at all. Okay, let's go ahead and load a manifesto and alter one of the rates. I'm going to go back to I looked at worker credit. Okay, let's do return to previous menu, and I'm now going to load one of the liberal manifestos. So reload, save manifesto. The one that I'm interested in is Liberal Manifesto 1. And let's see whether the policies in there, let's just look at the policies for a second. The only new tax here is a unified income tax that merges together the four existing Philippine income taxes. That's BIR income tax, Phil Health contributions, SSS, Social Security System, and the tax for the Home Loan Development Fund, commonly called PAG-IBIG. They're all unified together into a single unified income tax, which is payable from the first peso of income. And to understand how that can be acceptable, we look at benefit definitions, and we find that the tapered basic income would give everybody 2,000 pesos per month in place of their personal tax allowance. So the 50,000 pesos of tax-free income per year would disappear, and people would get a cash grant of 2,000 pesos per month, but it would taper away. It would be reduced by 50% for each peso of income. So gradually it would be tapered away, and the benefit would be concentrated on poorer income groups. So let's look and see what the revenue effect of that policy is. I should point out that these assumptions are based on a relatively developed world concept of tax compliance. So if we look at the compliance rate under unified income tax, we see that the compliance rate is modeled in these simulations to be 80%, which is considerably higher than is achieved at the moment. Let's return to the previous menu, and let's look at a standard statistical table, which is tax revenues and benefit costs. So we're quickly running through the 40,000 households that contain just under 200,000 individual people, and we find that this combination of policies produces a budget surplus in 2006 of 15.91 billion pesos. So I can see from this that there's some scope for increasing the value of the monthly basic income and still keeping the budget in surplus. So I'll click return to previous menu a couple of times, return to previous menu, and let's alter that monthly amount of basic income to try to bring the budget more into balance. So I'll do alter basic benefit definitions, alter tapered basic income, and I'm going to change this to 2,070 pesos per month. And I happen to know that roughly leaves the budget in balance. Let's return to previous menu, and now let's look at a standard statistical table, revenue costs and benefit revenue totals and benefits. And again, we're going through all the cases, and this time the budget is almost exactly in balance. I'm in surplus by 0.1 billion pesos. So that's more or less what I was intending to achieve from this policy. And now let's look at how it would affect household net incomes by income band. That's if you have the poorest 10% of households, the next poorest, dividing the population into 10 equal groups. And here, with this particular policy, the poorest decile are showing considerable benefit, a doubling of their net income under this policy, and gradually the benefits taper away until you get to the richest tenth of the population. They're showing a roughly 30,000 peso reduction in their incomes. These numbers in the right-hand column, these are numbers of households. So this is showing that these are meant to be roughly in decile groups. So this is 1.492 million households in this group, and they're adding up to 16 million households for this particular simulation. And at the bottom of the table, the average across all cases of household net income before is 113,000 pesos, and after it's also 113,000. Remember, these numbers are going to be lower than a lot of government tables because these are net incomes, not gross. This is after the effect of all taxes have been taken into consideration. I'm going to click OK, and let's say we're going to print this to a file. I'll say yes, and this will be saved in the form of a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. So I'll call it libman Liberal Manifesto New. Click OK, and libmannew.xls, which means it's a Microsoft format spreadsheet file, has been saved. I'm now going to go back to my main screen, and I'm going to save this manifesto file with a new number. Click on libmanifesto2, and I'll save this with the number libmanifesto3, and that means it's going to be available for me to work on later. And now I'll just exit from the tabulator. Don't need to save it. And that's it for this second illustration.